Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It is Monday. It's June 24th, 2024. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. So, with that, it's Monday and time to get back to work. So, let's take a look at what's going on in the markets. Starting off with a favored risk indicator, the MMRI still hanging around the same level, 278.8. As I'm doing this now, of course, was over the weekend, and not a lot of movement heading back into that fear area where it's increased risk. So we've got the 10-year yield and the relative strength of the dollar. The oddity of these two is they moved in opposite directions. We've got a couple of bond sales going on, and this is kind of showing there is a difference and something underlying going on in the bond market. And basically, we've got some sales coming up this week, but there is a lot of underlying purchasing and then also buffering that is going on because, as we were speaking about last week, the Japanese yen is having some currency issues and they were placed on watch for currency manipulation. They are one of the largest holders of United States bonds. So basically, in order to bolster their currency, we've got some bond activity, government debt going on there. And I think that the US debt is kind of trying to be covered by the Federal Reserve. So we've got some instability in the markets, and we've got our prime lead indicator is actually cryptocurrency is one of those. So we've had those have a drop. Bitcoin right now just barely above the 60,000 level, with the others falling as well. So before anybody panics about their Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, and actually I can't speak about others, but Bitcoin in particular, looking at some levels there, this is a pullback and in my opinion, buying opportunity. Where could they go? 60,000 is very strong support level. Okay, and this is not financial advice, but just some things I see in the charts. Below that, if it breaks below, we've got 58,000 as basically your next main level. And I'm rounding these numbers because I don't put specifics on purpose. So we've got 58,000 area is another strong support. If that breaks and we get lucky, it could drop down to 52, but we'll have to reassess that. I seriously doubt that would happen today. With that being said, anything can happen, but at those levels, I would be a very serious buyer, probably much larger amounts than what I'm doing, dollar cost averaging in. Another word on that is I never go all in on something right away. Always dollar cost average just a bit at a time and look at my levels, and that tells me when I should buy, when I should sell if I'm trading, but I don't sell my Bitcoin. So with this, let's take a look at the futures and the current status of what's going on with the stock markets right now. Hovering, kind of waiting for the open. We've got the volatility index is up. It's high, 4%, showing again another reflection of the instability. We've got gold increasing a bit, not much considering what's going on, and oil as well is up on what they're expecting will be increased demand. Now, with the heat waves going on around the world, and it's pretty sad. Many people are losing their lives. They've got the pilgrimage is going on over the Hajj over in the Middle East, and many people are dying over there simply due to the heat. So, with that, though, is large energy usage on top of the normal energy usage that we see. So, the sentiment right now is weak after this holiday week. We've got low data for today's Monday. And as I was just speaking about, we're watching the relative strength of the dollar or the Dixie, the 10-year yield, and we've also got a couple of Federal Reserve speakers coming out. Now we've got Loretta Mester is set to retire the end of this month, so she's got a replacement coming in. One other thing I want to mention, Iran has been doing pretty well despite sanctions, and they have managed to suck away 6.6 tons of gold bullion in with their central bank in the months of March to June. So that's a tremendous amount for a smaller central bank, and just showing central banks as stockpiling gold. Okay, so let's go on with what's going on now. Calendar and earnings. We've got Fed Waller. As I said, the 3 month and 6 month auction, those are not huge ones, but we will be watching those because there's not much else going on today. So I expect a bit of weakness in the market unless some volume comes in to underpin it. We could watch that weakness continue. So not a lot going on to affect it. So with this story, we've got market jitters, an analyst warning about looming US stock crash, drawing parallels to 1929. That was the start of the last Great Depression. So aside from that, we've got a lot of inflation pushing prices higher, which includes stock prices. So I expect this being an election year, they are going to kind of underpin this. They've also got many factors they did not have back then, trip switches, if you will, the plunge protection team. So while I think it will grind lower and continue weak today, I don't expect major movement, but we'll keep an eye on it. With that, I also wanted to bring up this report on tokenization. They're saying it's at a tipping point, poised to transform financial markets. Now, they're tokenizing all assets, and the most quiet story, which I think is also the largest story coming out here, is with bonds. They are centralizing the clearinghouses for these. So, with all of the bonds coming out being traded right now, they've only got one centralization, and they are looking at bringing in other exchanges. It's a large amount of money here. We are talking trillions of dollars, and I think that's going to have its effect here very soon on the debt market. Now, if you haven't been here long, the debt market eclipses the stock market much larger. So large moves in that will have its effect in the stock market and also the daily economy as well. With this, I've got a couple of stories wanted to talk about stock specific. The first one is Bytes that was on the title page. So they own TikTok, which is the huge, if you haven't heard, program that is under debate for whether it should be banned or not over privacy issues and other things. So the larger news is now they've got enough money in backing. They're collaborating with a United States company, no less, Broadcom, to develop an advanced artificial intelligence chip, and they're going to create a whole look is basically to supply themselves as well as other Chinese companies. Huge market there since they're sanctioned, and then possibly in the long run create a bit of basically competition for Nvidia. It's an absolutely monstrous market there. So we've got a Japanese investment firm adopting a micro strategy like Bitcoin strategy. So they basically, the yen is weak. We were speaking about this is the other side of this. So they sold a lot of bonds with their debt, basically pulling in, buying their debt, and using it to purchase Bitcoin. So I think that's interesting, especially with Bitcoin going down right now, shows a lot more faith in that and volume that I do expect to be coming into Bitcoin. So with that, we've got the digital euro is coming out. Nagel saying that the jury's still out on a holding limit for the digital euro. What does this mean? So they're going to issue this as currency, but you're not allowed to save it. They're going to control your spending amounts. And if you get too much piled up, they're basically going to either force you to spend it or devalue the amount that you have. It's going to be complete control. So if you don't see that by now, well, you will. What's going on in the real economy? Really, it is the military industrial complex at the moment for the most part. We've got some tech in the real side, but we've got Pentagon basically telling Ukraine now that they can fire US produced and provided missiles, long-range missiles, into Russia anywhere they like in self-defense now. So if they've got an area that's getting hit by Russian strikes, they are now authorized to strike Russia back as they see fit with these long-range missiles. This just happened this morning, and I think it's going to cause quite a bit of stir if they don't retract a bit of this. But moving forward, they do want the wars to grow. It's funding the GDP, and I'll move on from that. So, this same entity, the Pentagon, that is so irresponsible with the attacks that they're drawing, didn't adequately track funds sent to Chinese research labs. What is this in relation to? So, this thing basically, they awarded huge sums of money they couldn't keep track of. They failed several annual audits prior to this, and they had been paying Chinese research labs and other countries that could have, the quotes, could have been using to enhance pathogens of pandemic potential, according to a report published Tuesday by a Pentagon watchdog. Now, they really don't have anyone to answer to in reality. So they got all of this funding, they've been spending it. We know where this came from, but they're finally coming out with some of this, and we'll see how this develops. My thoughts on this personally is that a lot of this, they're going to take a bit of the heat for it because they're expecting a lot of um, basically lawsuits coming in from private sector, and are going to use this as a way to shield big pharma. So again, it is political protection, if you will. So with this, I just want to give a quick shout out to Tamayo. Rest in peace, my brother. And with all of this, please, I hope you have a wonderful day. Become self-sufficient, and until I see you again, my friends, stay free.